the next 30 years. We have to right now be deploying the largest solar field in the world every day for the next years in order to hit the 1.5. We have to be deploying renewables 6 times faster than we are today. I know that in our country we've got to pass a permitting bill before we can do that, because you can't make a siting. And it can't take 10 years to distribute this stuff. So yes, we can do this. But there is not yet the kind of commitment broadly that is necessary to make it happen, and almost a collective will, as if we were at war and ready to turn factories into solar panel producers and so forth. I think some of that's what we need.
Even as we pursue mitigation and decarbonization solutions, we must also adapt to the realities of climate change and proactively address the risks of disrupted weather cycles and degraded land, water, and ocean systems. The world must provide support, especially for the climate-vulnerable communities, to avoid a humanitarian crisis.
Emissions are not going to be cut if we don't actually keep fossil fuel underground. Let's begin with actually attacking the root cause of it. We can talk about cutting emissions all we want and come up with clever calculations and do it on paper, but if we don't keep fossil fuel underground, we will not meet 1.5. And if we look at the state of the world at, around 1.2 right now, it's already devastating. Look at what happened in Pakistan, an entire country that's been washed away.
Increasing business investment in climate adaptation efforts to $1.8 trillion could generate $7.1 trillion in total net benefits by 2030. Pledges and commitments need to be translated into concrete plans and actions. This requires dedicating resources and capital to develop strategy, build partnerships, and put in place capabilities and structures to track progress and measure performance. Investing in people, cultural change, and organizational structure will be paramount.
The technology is there. The recognition of the science is there. The costs are slowly getting incorporated in. And I just think, even if you want to wish that it's, those that don't want to go in that direction, I don't think there's going to be much choice, because I think the instability that will continue to be created by these impacts, real instability for people, deaths for people and ecosystems, are going to keep that pressure up.
The environmental crisis calls on a larger demand for humanity to restore our relationship with nature. Healthy and balanced ecosystems provide a social equalizer, promote happy and stable societies, and preserve and create intergenerational wealth. There is a clear benefit to investing in nature, moving towards a more nature-positive economy in areas including generative agriculture, forest economy, environment and infrastructure design, and resource circularity could add $10.1 trillion of business opportunities and create 400 million jobs globally by 2030.
But then I think it's important to look at it from a business sustainability point of view, because as a business you need to be sustainable financially, you need to be profitable in order to do good business, but you also need to be sustainable from a climate perspective. We are looking into how to develop new business models together with industries that are emitting a lot of CO2 today. Because I think that if you look at the business models end to end, and maybe not the way they look today, you can actually accomplish a lot.
Harmony of biodiversity destroyed, birthing climate crisis and crime phases.
Dicey situation indeed, yet we carry on like a bull in a china shop.
On environment matters, we take the bull by the horns, comb the nooks and cranny of Nigeria.
Asking tough questions.
Examining challenges and opportunities.
Giving human face to the science, facts, faiths, and global agreements. It's a call for action. Don't miss it.
Join award-winning environmental journalist Jennifer Igwe and other NTA Eco reporters for Environment Matters.
United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres keyword oil firms at Davos for having peddled the big lie about their role in global warming, telling the World Economic Forum that they should be held accountable. He urged the world to end the addiction to fossil fuels, as he warned that the aspirational goal of limiting warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius from pre-industrial levels was going up in smoke.
Bridging divides and restoring trust means meaningful climate action, and climate action now. The battle to keep the 1.5 degree limit alive will be won or lost in these decades, on our watch. And right now, we have to confess that the battle is being lost. So we need to act together to close the emissions gap. And that means to phase out progressively coal and supercharge the renewable revolution, to end the addiction to fossil fuels, and to stop our self-defeating war on nature. On the other hand, the developed world must finally deliver on its 100 billion climate finance commitment to support developing countries. Adaptation finance must be doubled, as it was promised in Sharm el-Sheikh, and the biggest emitters, namely the G20 countries, must unite around the Climate Solidarity Pact, in which they make extra efforts in the 2020s to keep the 1.5 degree limit alive. And it doesn't work if developed countries attribute responsibility to emerging economies and emerging economies attribute responsibility to developed countries. They need to come together, to bring together all their capacities, financial and technological, with the developed ones providing financial and technical assistance to help the major emerging economies to accelerate their renewable energy transition. Because if they don't, we will not be able to reduce emissions at the level that is necessary to keep the 1.5 degree goal, I would say to keep the 2 degree goal alive. And our climate goals need the full engagement of the private sector. Now, the truth is that more and more businesses are making net zero commitments, but benchmarks and criteria are often dubious or murky. And this can mislead consumers, investors and regulators with false narratives. And it feeds a culture of climate misinformation and confusion and leaves the door open to greenwashing. That's why we created an expert group on net zero emissions commitments. Recently, the group has issued a how-to guide for credible, accountable net zero pledges. And here at Davos, I call on all corporate leaders to act based on these guidelines, to put forward credible and transparent transition plans on how to achieve net zero and to submit those plans before the end of the year. Now, the transition to net zero must be grounded in real emissions cuts and not relying essentially on carbon credits or shadow markets.